Yeah. Uh-oh. That's not mine. All right. I'm looking for. Mhm. And I look 800 years old. All right. Hi, Titan. What's up? I am. Can't see any of my cool stuff. Gonna have a storm. We see outside. No. All right. Well, it's gonna storm here in a second. And I have mood lighting. Watch this. Because I'm old. Hide it. Look at that. How beautiful. All right. So much better. All right. Hi, Steve. How you doing? Yes, we're gonna do pumpkin stuff. Pumpkin stuff. So I brought some things. We're gonna talk about how to prepare your seeds because it's not like field pumpkins where you can just maybe start them indoors. But most people, if they have a big, they plant seeds in a hill and then they plant a lot more of them, and that's great. Um, Field pumpkin seed is very different than a giant pumpkin. This is a field pumpkin seed. If you can see it. All right, I'm going to show you now a giant pumpkin seed. Anywho, they're a lot bigger and tougher, and the seed coat is a lot thicker. I cold. Nice. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, hang on a sec. Bailey's here. Hi, Bailey. Thank you. I'm gay for you too. And then I brought snacks. Let's talk snacks for a second. We've learned from hanging out together that I am gluten free, allergic to every kind of nut, all the jokes, and avocado, right? Which makes life a little trickier. I don't get to go out to restaurants and I can't willy nilly just pick up packaged food and eat it. And I don't care. It doesn't bother me that much. It's a little depressing sometimes. But most of the time, it's fine. I don't care. Hamburger or beef, chicken, pork, barbecue, mostly all wheat free. Vegetables, mostly all wheat free. But there are some products that I've come to find out that are pretty decent and I truly enjoy them. Now, I know that gummies come from cows. These are some of my favorites. They're true to fruit, meaning the color and flavors come from fruit instead of chemicals, which can be a trigger for my intestines to act improperly. So, this Albanese true to fruit is pretty decent. Um, I found out that most of your jerky that's in the stores is full of wheat. And did you know that soy sauce is full of wheat? That's not fair. So I found that this brand How do you say that? Tillamook? Tillamook? I don't know. Um, but they are pretty good about it and good stuff. I know there's a lot of great companies out there, small creators that sell like dry aged jerky with just a few seasonings, salt and pepper, and some other seasonings. Very expensive, super delicious. Farmer Bill's is a good one if you've ever heard of them. I don't have any currently right now, but I have enjoyed them and highly recommend. Now we've known about the Andes, so I've got my favorites here. All right, I don't mean to just talk about hi hunting, candy. We're gonna talk about pumpkins. I got the seeds. I got the stuff, and we're gonna do things. I really need a microphone stand. What do I have that could be a microphone? So let me see what I got around here. Hold up. Let's see. Like my frog. I do this. Look at that. And my frog is holding up my microphone. So what I want to do is use both my hands. So for a giant pumpkin seed, you want to give it the best chance it can to get out of that really tough seed coat that encases its life. So you can use nail file or any kind of sandpaper that you might have. Now, I'm supposed to be sanding my bathroom and getting it ready for paint. So I've got my little palm sander. I open this up. Oh, all stuck together. One of these doesn't matter what grit. You want to take your seed and you do not want to sand this part, the pointy part. Don't do that. But all the way around the other edge. Now, in good lighting, I got my mood lighting on. In good lighting, you will see a difference after you sand it. A couple of strokes. You'll see a little change in the edge. Don't go too far. Just a few strokes all the way around, except for the tip. What we're doing is just giving the pumpkin that's in there a little better chance of coming out without being mangled. I've seen the two first leaves that come out are the cotyledons, which is the energy, the food that feeds the first true leaf and sends out roots. Those two are very important. Sometimes when they can't get out of the seed coat, they'll get mangled. Like they struggle so hard, and like if you have a cattle or something and the calf is born with like a mangled leg, you don't want that. Why not? Because then it's hampered. What you want is a very healthy plant because you're trying to grow the biggest pumpkin possible and give it the best chance possible to grow healthy and strong and fast. We want to be able to plant this plant outdoors when weather permitting, or if you have a little hoop house or a greenhouse. You want to have that plant mature enough to pollinate a female flower by some people are pushing it to the first week of June. I have not been able to do that, but if you have enough warm weather or a greenhouse, you can do it. But I'm thinking by the end of June for sure, you should have a pollination. If your plant struggles from the word go, the chances that you get a pollination by then is not good. So you want to give your plant the best opportunity to do well. Oh, I can hit like, watch me. I did it. I ain't no slouch. So you're gonna go all the way around. Show it. All the way around. But not the tip. So another thing you might want to do is because of us pumpkin people, we like to keep track of what pumpkins we are growing. And those Sharpie markers, I have one in my pocket. I do because I'm an old lady and we walk around with Sharpies. You want to write on, so if you get your pumpkin seed from a grower or if you buy one because they can be worth a lot of money and you're pretty serious about it, say this seed came from my last year's pumpkin. I think it was 536 pounds and it was mine. So you would definitely put right on the seed coat the weight of the pumpkin that it came from. I'm gonna write 536. And you could put on the other side the last name of the grower who grew that pumpkin. I think, that's probably the best to identify your plant. And that should not wash off in our next step. What did I do? 36. Can we see it? Biggest pumpkin I've ever grown. 789 pounds. What is that joke? Why is eight? No, why is nine afraid of? Oh, why is eight afraid of seven? Because seven, eight, nine, something. I don't know. You know the joke. Okay, so then what growers will do is they will get warm water, not hot water and not boiling water for sure, because this is a live thing, even though I just took it out of the freezer because that's where I kept it all winter long. Get some warm water. I have some tepid room temperature water here, and you can put some amino acids or some fulvic acid or whatever floats your goat in here. A lot of growers will put fertilizer in there. You don't have to do any of that, but you can. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that seed stays submerged. Different ways of doing that. The best way I think I've seen anybody do it is by using a little bit of paper towel, and they will encase the seed in a wet paper towel. See, okay, wet paper towel. Wet. You take your seed and you encase it in that wet paper towel, and that will weigh it down soak in there. Some people will just put another glass on top of this glass and keep it submerged. Ta-da! Don't drink it. I mean, it's perfectly safe, but some people, growers will let it soak for an hour. Some people say they never soak it. I don't believe them. Some people will be honest and say 4 hours, 4 to 8 hours. It all depends. So some seeds are way harder than others, and you can tell um, by dropping them on the table and listening to their tone. And if their tone is very solid, then I would think the longer you'd want to soak it. After you're done soaking it, you will put it in a prepared, not a potting soil, but a seed starting mix. Now, Jiffy makes a mix. A lot of different companies will make a mix. You could probably just go to Walmart and pick up something that says seed starting mix. You don't want to burn your cute little plant that's coming up because the new roots and those new cotyledons that are coming out can get burned by the fertilizer that's in some of the potting mixes, which are nice, once it's grown up a bit and you still want to keep it in a pot for a little while until you can get it out in the garden, then carefully transplant it from your little seed starting mix to a potting mix in a different pot, and that would be fine. See, I didn't get to Joe. Peyton was on Joe's. Yeah, I know. I heard about that. Hi, Henry. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk about pumpkins. We talked about the different seeds. This one is a giant pumpkin seed, and this one is a field pumpkin seed. How do you guys like my old lady hair, by the way? Crazy, I don't know, nest? Nest? Is Will here? What do you call it? Strawberry kiwi juice, Walmart, Welch's. It's the best. It's the best. Talk about my chips? Did I talk about my favorite chips? Gluten-free chips. Hi, Sandra. What am I looking for? Me? Always looking for something. Because I'm old. Some, you know what? Here's a story for you. I cannot see long distances, so I'm nearsighted. I can see things pretty good up here if it's in my face, um, but things far away. So I have to have prescription glasses. Not everybody gets them, but us wonderful, special people get them. And I bought like sunglasses with my prescription in it, so I didn't have to like wear two glasses, you know. And I bought two extra pair like that because I'm breaking them and losing them all the time. So I've already broke one pair. It's been a couple years. So I'm down to my last pair, and I lost them like 3 days ago. I'm like, damn it. I've got backups, of course, but they're not the newest prescription, so they're not as strong and they're not as good. And so I wanted to do. I looked everywhere. I thought I looked through every coat pocket I've ever worn in the last 3 or 4 days. I looked in every purse. There's two that I've kind of go back and forth wearing. And then I just looked like on the sofa or where could I have set them down? Or they were the places I spend most time, the kitchen or in the laundry room. And no, couldn't find them anywhere. So it was time to switch out the curtains in the kitchen. I'm like, I made curtains a long time ago, and I have these curtains that I like to put up for summer. So I went to put them up, and I'm like, oh, the stupid little thing that holds up the attachment for the bar for the curtain rod is broken, so I had to go get my drill and drill a new hole. Like, so I go get my toolbox, and there they were. Oh, my sunglasses were in my toolbox. That's funny to me. Anyway, what am I missing? Is there some drama? What's the drama? Oh my gosh, let's be nice. Unless we're being funny. I like funny. Okay. Alright. Anyway, so my favorite potato chips because they're gluten free. These are awesome. Here. They are so delicious. I thought I would have a couple of them, but then I found this bag that I never finished. Do you guys have bags like this at home? Where there's just shards of chips? I think potato chips cost like $1,200 a bag now, and half the bag is air. So I really don't feel like throwing them away. Ha! Yes, always the last. Shards. I think here where I live, I probably won't be ready to put a plant in the ground until the beginning of May. So I got a couple of weeks. That'll give me a pretty good sized plant. I will still have to build a little hoop house to protect it from the weather because the weather's, I mean, it's like been 80 degrees and super humid, obviously. We had 3 inches of rain yesterday. We're scheduled to get a lot more. Been hearing some rumbling. So it's very wet out there. You really can't shovel. It's more like soup. It's not good. So hopefully things will dry out by the time I have baby plants to get in the ground. Now the thing with field pumpkins is you can just let them go crazy and just look for pumpkins, you know, in October. I mean, you still probably want to check for bugs and you still want to probably water them and sort of take care of them. But when it comes to these giant pumpkins, uh, there's a lot more like care because the idea is and how they grow is that you want to have one pumpkin per plant. And if you have it growing on the main vine, then the rest of the plant will feed that one pumpkin. This is what has been difficult for me because in my short history of growing giant pumpkins, only 4 years, the main vine, for whatever reason, will not be where the pumpkin ends up growing. And then if it grows from a secondary vine, the rest of the plant isn't actually helping. So the way a plant grows, I can draw draw a little picture. All right, let's see if this helps at all. All right. So this is your baby plant, and you've got your two cotyledons and the first true leaf. opposite of the true leaf will be how the vine grows. So it'll grow up. And then off of that main vine, it will have all the secondaries. Okay. And then if you pollinate a flower at the end or pinnacle of your vine, all the energy that all these leaves and all this vine will go into growing the biggest giant pumpkin you can grow. Critter? I'm talking about pumpkins, giant pumpkin vines. It's a giant pumpkin vine. This is your giant pumpkin. I'll make it look like a pumpkin. Does that help? I don't know. Does that help? Art class with a cute. It's a giant pumpkin. All right. And each of these vines here are having giant leaves, which are, energy producers. And draw all the vine and all the little leaves. We're just going to have to pretend that you see them. Okay. If for some reason this vine breaks or gets cut before this happens, let's just pretend the pumpkin isn't even there. It's possible to grow a pumpkin over here off of this secondary. But that means the rest of this plant is not going to help grow this one. That's just the way the energy goes into the through the plant. This is like an address here. This is an address here. This is an address here. So that means this energy comes up and stays here. This energy comes up and stays here. But it does talk back and forth to here. So that's where you want to grow your pumpkin. In my 4 years that I have been growing giant pumpkins, I have had issues where by the time this one is pollinated, and I think I'm good, and I've been taught that you should cut off the rest of the vine because it'll keep going. It'll grow all the way across your yard into the neighbor's house. Cut it off so all that energy stays there. Well, that's probably not a great idea, I've learned. Because if you cut that off and then this one rots, which can happen, then you're screwed. Cooked. You're going to have to grow a pumpkin over here, which is fine, but it'll only get up to about 500 pounds, 600 pounds, maybe. So the ideal placement would be at the end of the main vine. Don't cut off the main. Some people, the growers, will like turn it around so it won't go into the neighbor's yard or across your lawn or whatever, and bring it back in. It'll keep growing, but then you want to start taking all the female flowers off so it doesn't keep producing. And then all over the plant, it will keep producing female flowers. And you have to go out there diligently, cut them all off. Or if you get them and it's small enough, you can just bend them off. And the pumpkin vines are very fragile. You can snap them off quite easily just by bending them over and they go snap. And you can easily step on a vine and snap it. You can brush by a vine and snap it. The wind can pick it up and snap it. Your dog can run over it and snap it. So a lot of pumpkin growers use like little bamboo stakes and try to protect it, or a fence, um, or a little mini greenhouse or a little hut to protect the plant and or the baby flower or the baby pumpkin or the pumpkin as it's growing. So I have done all the things. So first, when they're small, you just use one of those little plastic tables that everybody has. And as it grows, you might have to build something or cover it with a tent or something, but you also have to protect the rest of the vine and keep it attached to the plant. So it's kind of like um, babysitting a toddler. You don't know what they're going to. Every time I go out there into the garden, there's somebody trying to do something terrible. There's mice, there's moles, there's voles, there's birds, there's cats, there's dogs, there's raccoons. So, always some drama in the garden. Flanders. Who's Flanders? Hi, Oak. Hey, Critter, are you working? Who is Flanders? Is that somebody's nickname that I don't know about? Will's here. Hi. Hi, Will. I was drinking some blood, Will, so you know. There's Mrs. Oak. Have you been watching me? I've been talking to you. Should I go over it again? Any of it? Any of it? Like the seeds? We were prepping our seeds. We did that. This is a giant pumpkin seed. This is a field pumpkin seed. These are the ones you cook and can eat. I would not do that with that. Too fibrous. The big seed. Yeah, it is. And I've seen bigger too. This was just from um, my giant pumpkin last year, which was white. The one that I took to second way off was the one that I have a picture of my granddaughter with, and she named it Snow White. Um, 536 pounds. Not bad for a pumpkin growing off a secondary, like we discussed. Not ideal, but still amazing. Still have to pick it up with the tractor. Yeah. So what we do, you can get a nail file. Sure you got some of those laying around. Or as I was using a little sandpaper pad for my palm sander, and you're gonna want to sand the edges of your seed. Not the pointy part. Don't do that. But all the way around the rest of it until you see a little bit of change in the color. Probably just a few strokes. Every edge except for the pointy part. Don't do that. After you get that all sanded around there, take a minute or two at the most. You want to, well, that's what I do. If they're not already written on, write on there what seed it is before I get it all wet and stick it in the dirt. So mine, the seed came from my 536-pound pumpkin. And then I put the grower's name on there too, which was me. And then I get a paper towel. Very handy. Paper towels are awesome. And I get it a little wet. This one already has a pumpkin seed in it soaking because we already did one. Doing another one. Get it all wet. We're going to submerge the seed, but first we want to encase it in this paper towel so it'll keep it weighed down like such. Just stick it in there, and that'll keep it underwater. It's usually warm water with maybe some fulvic acid. Some fancy growers do that. Warm water is just fine. Yes, save it. Super easy. All you need is stuff you already got at home. You got a glass. You can, you know, I usually just use solo cups, but they're all downstairs and I don't want to bother my husband. Um Solo cup, whatever you got. A little warm water. Everybody's got, you can make some warm water. Not hot, not boiling. You got a nail file. You can, in better light than this, because I got the mood lighting on, but you'll see the difference in the edges. And what that does is just helps the little growing plant that's inside there get out without getting mangled. And the last thing you want is a mangled cotyledon, because those are your tool fuel leaves that help jumpstart this plant. And why is that important? The healthier we can keep your plant, the better. I don't have any of the products here that we're going to need eventually. I did mention, I think, the easiest thing to get is Nature's Harvest. It's like a fish emulsion fertilizer. You can get like a gallon of it on Amazon. I think it's like 45 bucks or something, but it'll last you all season because all you need is like a tablespoon and a gallon of water to get that sucker going. Not even that when it's baby, but when it's growing. Um, that is like the easiest thing. Miracle Grow. But I mean, the first year I ever grew a giant, that's all I had, and it was great. It did everything I needed it to do. But once you've established that you have got some precious plant, I don't know if you know about this, but the bugs remember that crap, and they'll come back next year and go, "Hey, how you doing? I seen you had something here yummy last year. I want some of that." And they will gobble up everything. So then you have to be prepared for the bugs the second year. Usually you don't get attacked the first year unless there's somebody else growing that type of plant around you and that bug is already prevalent in the area, like squash bugs, terrible. Little green stripy things, they will be terrible. What's the other one? Stink bugs. They will give your plant diseases. And it's not just they will eat your plant, but they will give it a disease. They give you a plant like plant AIDS. You don't want that. So we're gonna have to spray for bugs. Bugs are. I mean, Will probably understands growing stuff and having to battle bugs. They're they're. I think they're worse than critters because you can. It's hard to see them. So I think a lot of the giant pumpkin growers are trying to work with nature as opposed to against nature and trying to do more natural things and things that are like more beneficial on top of trying to stop these bugs. So those things are of course super expensive and you have to keep that up and do a lot of other things to make sure that they're successful. So I do a little bit of both. I try the beneficial stuff, but I have napalm too, and I am not afraid to use it. Time for some Andes. Yeah. How you doing, Steve? Good to see you. Uh, you know what? Last year I saw something terrible. The stink bugs, they fill up my house all fall because they're trying to overwinter somewhere. But last summer, I was checking. We have I let a bunch of milkweed grow kind of where the bird seed feeders are, just because it's fun. Because I love monarch butterflies and we enjoy the caterpillars, and I like to see them grow. And I know that one of the giant pumpkin growers, he has like decided that he's going to help nature, and he said I should start doing this instead because as I'm watching, I check them out every day. I go out to the garden, see what's going on. Do I need to do anything? And then as I'm walking by the milkweed, I see a stink bug with a monarch butterfly caterpillar dead in its clutches. And I'm like, mother trucker, how dare you? And stink bugs are gross to begin with. So that pissed me off. And I told my friend, that giant pumpkin grower, and he goes, well, that you can bring them in. Just know that you have to feed them. So, I mean, bring in the caterpillars? Yeah, he says, I just have like a contraption he built with screens, and he brings in the caterpillars, and he says the basic rule is that each caterpillar will eat a milkweed leaf one a day. Each caterpillar is going to need a milkweed leaf every day, fresh one every day. And I went, oh, okay, I might try that this year. We'll see. Anyway, I hate stink bugs, but I don't want to spray out here because then it would hurt the monarchs. See what I'm saying? There's a struggle. The struggle is real. Are you guys messing with Joe? It's fine. We can talk about Joe. Do not care. I haven't checked him out yet. Doesn't sound like something that I'm really interested in, but you never know. Got into fishing. I don't even fish. Started on your cherry tomatoes. Oh, who is eating your cherry tomatoes? All right, so something about tomatoes over here. I cannot not have millions of tomatoes. Thank you, Jesus. It's been really nice. I have grown so many types. So I think I might have sent you some giant tomato seeds too, Mrs. Oak. And they are like, let's talk about those for a minute, okay? If you've ever grown a tomato plant, they are the most susceptible to any kind of soil issue. But a regular Miracle Grow bag of potting soil, perfect. They love it. Also, go ahead and add some Miracle Grow every once in a while. Okay? It's a very leafy plant. Everybody says, oh, you got to prune it. You got no. They just grow crazy. There's determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. You have an indeterminate tomato. That means it will grow like 40 feet tall if you prop it up and string it up, and or it'll crawl along the ground. You are in charge of your tomato plant. Take charge of your tomato plant because it will go nuts. But with the giant tomatoes, you want to be even more aggressive because what you're looking for, if you want to take it to a show and win a prize for how big they are, you're looking for a mega bloom, not MAGA. Not going to wear a Trump hat, but mega, which is basically, in my opinion, a lot of regular flowers stuck together. But it's not because it's really one flower. It's what do you call it? Macabre. It is um a deformed kind of flower. That's what you want. Okay. So grow this thing in a bed or grow it in a giant bucket. It doesn't matter. They do not care. Um, giant tomato. You want one in a bucket. I don't know. Try do whatever you want, but they will go crazy if they're happy. They will go nuts. Um, but when you see a flower and it looks really bizarre and it's got a lot of petals, a zillion petals. That's what you want. Protect that at all costs and go out there with, again, I don't have any props. Toothbrush or finger, I don't care, or paintbrush, and just, get all up in that twiddly flower thing and mix around the pollen. Um, so it will grow. Can't just leave that up to the wind with these mega blooms because they're often so compact. Now, a regular bloom, there's only like five petals, and it's easy for the wind to get in there and do it. It's, sexy thing. So you can, once that gets started, um, protect it, um, and don't let the plant grow like a million of them. You just pop the rest of them off and let the plant put a lot of energy into that one or two or three for that giant tomato. I don't know if that helps. Leaf footed bugs. Holy crap, that sounds like a terrible thing. We don't have that. We have the tomato hornworm and blossom end rot, which is a calcium deficiency. So you can get some CalMag from your local pot store in a liquid form and dose that a little bit, and that'll stop that blossom end rot. Gonna have a treat. Mm. Wow. Sorry. Mm-mm. I can't keep up with eating the tomatoes. I'm gonna do peppers this year. Green beans, peppers. I learned something about green beans that they have this one big flourish of blooms and then you harvest all that. And I tried to keep the plant and continue to harvest. I'm to find out that's a terrible idea because they get so long and leggy, weird, and then they're more prone to diseases and stuff. And then they're just a mess. And I really don't get very many green beans after that. So, what I think I'm going to do this year, it's me thinking, is that I will do my one big harvest and maybe plant again. Maybe I will start another batch of plants so I can have another big flourish, big harvest. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Sounds like a great idea. Maybe. I had a green bean forest, never settle. It was awesome. And then I canned them. I'm gonna have to look up a leaf-footed bug. Sounds horrifying. I'm gonna write it down. I will not be interested in Joe. No. Mm-mm. I don't need a cranky. Was he naked? Did somebody say he was naked last night? I don't need to see that. What else can we talk about? What other plants? You want to continue on with tomatoes or sunflowers? So do not start those first in the house. It's kind of like corn. Um, don't start those in the house. They do not transplant well. So you have to wait until your weather permitting. Prep your soil first and let it settle for a good week before you know you're going to plant your seeds. And then give them a couple inches between each one. When they start growing, thin them down to the healthiest looking one. It's kind of like my pumpkins. I will start a few, and I always hope that the prettiest orange one is going to do the best, but it's not always the case. So, whoever's stronger gets to go in the garden. Oh, the crap was that? Sounds like somebody's slapping together 2x4s. Blue lake bushes is like, yeah, they're pretty much standard. I like the stringless ones the best, the ones that are shinier and longer, whatever the names of those are. Jeepers, do you guys hear that? It is Bigfoot. Hang on a second, I'm gonna see if I can move my microphone out there. Can still hear me. Oh, I can hear it better now. It sounds like raccoons. Let me see if I can look at them out here. They're probably super pissed they can't get past the lake to my house. Yeah, they're raccoons. So, did I make that video already? Can't remember when my last one. Was there a raccoon fight in my last video? If anybody pays close enough attention, you would have seen it. My raccoon, who only has one eye, is duking it out with another big raccoon. It sounds like they're fighting. Nice. I thought I would have storm sounds instead of raccoon drama. Big stupid ass raccoons. Yeah, I really should go out there and shoot a couple of them. Exactly. Them assholes. There, so that was in my video, and I don't know if anybody else saw it. That I had this owl, a couple owls in my video, and I kind of like seeing them. The camera doesn't really catch them very great. Um, so one video, in the last video, he just misses a rabbit, and you can see the rabbit get away from him, and I'm like, oh, poor thing. And then the other one, he's just running down the path, and I'm like, I didn't know owls ran around on the ground, but I guess you gotta get around somehow. Interesting. And then the very pregnant coyote. Yeah, yeah, they're at it. They're at it right now. So I don't know if the Mr. One Eye is gonna win. He's probably not gonna win. Probably hard to see your opponent when you only have one eye. Let's see. Yeah, they have been out and about. So I think the babies have been born because I think it's like 2 weeks. Well, a week since that video. And the male has been out. Oh, wow. Hunting. Yeah, that's right. I think they have a whole audience I can hear. Yeah, my dog is really not interested in it. So I story time. I went out trying to look for my new. I have like a 1 year old kitten, and she has discovered the great outdoors, which I love, and that's great. I already have one cat that acts like a dog and goes on walks with us, and I was kind of hoping I would get another one. That'd be great. And she doesn't really want to get too far away from the house, but she's learning her hunting skills. She's picking up on it. It's really nice. And then I had let Maggie out. I was going to go out and look at the garden, and Maggie went over to what Hazel was doing and stole her toy. And it started screaming. And I'm like, what the heck? And I had on some gloves. And I went over to my dog and got the, the critter out of her mouth. And it just latched onto my finger and screaming its head off. It's a little mole. Shit. And it missed my finger, but it got my glove pretty good and it would not let go. And it was screaming the whole way. And I'm trying to pull this little asshole body off of my glove. And I wanted to dangle him. And the cat and the dog are both looking at me going, give it to me, give it to me. And I'm like, okay. So I give it to the cat, you know. She grabs it and runs into my garage with it. Like, no, gross. Next time I see her, she doesn't have it and she's looking under the shelves. She's like, Mom, I lost it. I'm like, shit. So I don't think it got out, but whatever. Gross. Should have stomped on it when I had a chance. What are we talking about? Canner. What kind of canner? I did not grow up canning. I grew up in suburbia. So after I finally was able to have a garden here and I couldn't eat the food fast enough, my girlfriend from church is like, you need to start canning. And I said, well, I'm scared of that. I don't know. And she's like, no, it's so easy. So she comes over and she's like, we need to mill this. We need to do this. We need this, this, this. She bought me my first canner. What a great friend. So she bought me the All American, the medium size one. So I can do um, both size jars, but I can't stack a layer of jars, if you know what I mean. I don't know. But my husband also bought me a canner, so I have two canners. I have a Presto. Now, the All American is beautiful, and it's like a tank, um, but it's a little more persnickety, and it's a little harder to deal with. The Presto one, a lot easier, lightweight, stores better. Either one, either one is fine. If I had to start over and do it again, I would have bought the bigger All American so I can stack them jars so I could do a lot more all at once, especially when I'm doing the marathon green bean thing. Um, but I also learned that I cannot can in the house because it's too damn wet, too much humidity, and I have a microwave over my stove, so there's limited space between the stove top and how tall the pots and pans can be. So I set up um out in the garage a canning situation. So I got myself a couple of hot plates and extension cords in them. But like it's like an outside kitchen, but it's not outside. So yeah, I totally understand what summer kitchens are, but I don't have one of those. So I kind of made one. Yeah, water bath. Yep. It's all different and different things you can do different ways. I've learned. Yeah, and then when it became the end of the season and it was um birthday season. October is birthday season for us, and then there's November, and then it's the holiday. So anything that I had wanted to can, I just threw it in big gallon plastic bags and put it in the freezer. And I just recently did processed all those tomatoes, and instead of canning them, I froze them again. So I made sauce though, so it's like measured out and labeled, and it's beautiful. So I have sauce if I wanted to make lasagna, if I wanted to do spaghetti, or for whatever. So I have some beautiful sauce. Yeah, Presto is fine. It's fine. It has a gasket that you have to oil. Yeah, and make sure it's in good condition. And make sure it has the little, I don't know what you call it, the little disc, the little that lifts the jars off the bottom of the pan. Don't lose that. Those are the first things that look like trash, and people like to trash them. And then you break bottles that way. I've learned. Ooh, that sounds nice. Got a Conex box? Nice. Nice. That would be fun. Damn raccoons. I need Bigfoot to come over here and take care of my raccoons, I guess. Can you guys hear that? It is so loud. I heard that I watch a couple of different people on YouTube, as you know. I watch this one guy, Diesel Creek, who rescues old diesel construction machinery, and his first shop was made out of Connex boxes, and then he found a company that made like structure so you can build a roof across two of them. So that was like his first shop, and he learned that you can't really cut into them because they don't have the internal structure for good windows and extra doors and stuff. So people who are making houses out of them, they have to build a structure that actually can hold the weight. I didn't know that. So interesting. Not that I'm ever going to build a house out of Connex boxes, but I found that to be interesting. Yeah, they're doing their thing, fighting or mating. I don't know. Do you play the paintball? Oh, all right, Peyton. Are you gonna go mow? What are you doing? Well, have fun. Thank you so much for hanging out. Peace. Night night. Night night. Yo. I don't know. That's how I always imagine that one weird emoji. This one. There you go. That's me. Night night. She's an alien. I don't know what her deal is. Later, Peyton. Is Critter working tonight? I was sending him some funny video memes, funny videos. And they weren't all, why are you gay? Mm. Okay. After your seed has soaked and you got your seed starting mix mixed up with a little water thoroughly to know what the right moisture content should be, you should be able to grab a whole handful of it. Well, that's nice painting. I used to love donuts. I cannot anymore. Yeah, the walls of the comics box are weak. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, you have to add a lot of bracing. Well, very fun. I don't know if we lost Mrs. Oak and Oak in here, but in case she watches this later, if she's going to try her hand at growing these pumpkins and sunflowers and all this good stuff. Once you mix up your soil, your now I want to know what kind of donut you like. Mine were my favorite one was I think it was the sour cream one with the sugar glaze on it that puddled in all the cracks. I love those. Henry leave apple fritters. Oh my gosh, my husband loved those. My dad loved the chocolate with the glaze on it. That was his favorite. And what he would do is he would take that. I think I explained this before. I like coffee like my dad. He liked a little bit of coffee with his cream and sugar. He would just take that whole donut and just and then his second favorite donut, which was probably the one I saw the most remnants of because I did the dishes, is he would the nut covered donut. It was just like chopped nuts all over. He would dip that in his coffee, and by the end, he was drinking nuts. His coffee. Ugh. Anyway, nice. If you wanted to plant your pumpkin seed that just got done soaking and put it in your seed starting mix, which is different than potting soil, and you add that to like a bucket or something and put some water in it. And don't put a lot of water in it because you want to mix it up and just make it all over moist. We want to grab a handful of it and squeeze really hard. And if a whole bunch of water drips out of it, you got too much water in there. If you grab it and nothing comes out, there's not enough water. If there's too much water, you need to add more dry mix. If there's not enough water, add just a little bit and stir it up again and try again. What you want is to grab a handful of it and squeeze really hard and get like maybe a drip out. Then you know it's perfect. Once you get that moisture consistency in your seed starting mix, put that in your pot, whatever pot you're using, hopefully something with a drainage hole. And if you're just using solo cups, you can slice I got a cute little knife, slice a couple little holes close to that. Like if this was a solo cup, you want to just slice it here and here. Edges, don't poke the bottom because that does not help you. You'll set that down and Water can't really escape very well. And then fill that up and press it down a little bit. You don't want it fluffy and full of air. Not real hard, just press it down a little bit. And then when you get your seed out of your paper towel, you implant it. Or here's another idea. This is what the giant pumpkin people have been doing. You get your paper towel and your seed out of there, and you get a Ziploc bag, which I do not have. Ziploc bag. You know what those look like. Take your paper towel, your seed, and don't let it be soggy. So squeeze out some of the water, just so it's damp. And place your seed in there and wrap it around your paper towel and put that in your Ziploc bag. Close it, and then put it somewhere that stays about 70 degrees. Not 80, not 90, about 70. In about 2 or 3, maybe 4 days, it should germinate. And then you can gently remove it from all that paper towel and put your finger in that seed starting mix that we've prepared with the proper amount of moisture and put your seed in there. Lay it flat and lay it down, doesn't matter. The plant will figure it out. Cover that seed up with a little bit of soil, maybe about this deep. Inch and a half, inch and a half, 2 inches. Should be fine. Then I would give it like a little dome. Keep it maybe somewhere warm. Not sunny, but warm. Because it doesn't need any light right now until those cotyledons, those first leaves that come out, are really not true leaves yet. They're the first 2 leaves. And then they can get a little bit of light, and you have to make sure that seedling, this is the top of the pot that it's growing out of, it pops up here and it's like this tall. You want that light about this close. You want that light very close. You don't want your plant to have to reach real far to get some light. And it gets leggy and weird, and you don't want that. Makes it weak. You want them to stay short and stocky. So if that means you have to boost your pots up to some grow light, fluorescent light, whatever you got, don't put it next to a window. That's not going to help you. You got to get some kind of light. It can even be one of them chicken warming lights. It don't matter. Just don't let it touch the light because it could burn. And then you want that light to be on 14 hours. Some of the growers will do 16 to 18 hours on and the rest of the time off. You also want to have some air circulation at this point when they've popped up out of the ground and they're starting to grow. It takes a good week or 2 before you see the first true leaf and then the second, and the vine starting to grow. By then, by the time it's been out of the pot or out of the seed coat for 2 weeks, you probably want to get that out in the garden. So just plan accordingly. Drinking coffee. I can drink coffee and then go right to sleep. What is the ABC store? I know. Stay out of my garden. I will trap them and kill them though. 'Cause I don't care. I don't mess around. Oh, so the ABC store here used to be an appliances store, and I think they went out of business a long time ago. Raccoons. Mm-mm. So my second year growing giant pumpkins, and this is um, well, before I got really serious. I'm like, I'm gonna try this again, and I didn't think I needed to do much else. I think I was convinced that I needed better fertilizer or a spray routine that kept away the bugs that are going to show up, like um, the squash vine borer, which is a horrific bug, and obviously squash bugs or cucumber beetles. So I was prepared for that, but what I wasn't prepared for is those bandits. So I did all this work, I did the seeds, I did the sanding, I did the soaking, I did the I did all the things. I did all this stuff, right? I spent all this time and invested all this time, a couple weeks of them being in my grow room being babied. And I get them out to the garden, and when you put them in the soil the first time, you don't just throw them in the soil. You have to augment the little bit of soil that they're in, and that patch has already been augmented with fertilizers and some biologicals and some compost, and you add stuff to your soil to help things out. And I spent all this time getting the blood meal in and the azos and the mycos and all this cool stuff. The next morning, I go out there and they're all dug up and thrown around and stomped on. Son of a bitch. I was so pissed. I was gonna cry. And I immediately got all my live traps out, every single one I could find. And I learned pretty quick that the first night that they were able to screw around with my traps and foil me. So I learned by the second night that I have to surround. You guys hear that? I had to surround each live trap with stones, big heavy stones, so they couldn't flip it over or run off with them or knock them or escape out of them. And I caught like 3 raccoons, and everybody got a little lead poisoning. Took care of them, and then I set them up again, and I think I got 2 more, and then I set them up again. I think I only got one, so I'm like, oh, okay, good. I felt good about that. Yeah, I did all right. Haven't had to do it again, but will if I have to, because sometimes, as you could see on my cameras, I have a lot. I have a lot of raccoons. There's this one that comes out during the day. That can't be good. And it's like a golden raccoon. You've seen them if you watch my videos, and like it's like a daytime raccoon. That's not good. But there's this. We had this mother last year, and she had her 4 babies every video, and I'm like, oh, I was kind of hoping a couple of them would get run over, but they all made it. So there's her, whoever she made the babies with, and then their 4 offspring. So that's a lot of raccoons in my local neighborhood. And then, whoever's coming in to breed with what, okay. So there's a lot, there's too many, and they keep making more. And because we feed the birds, they come in for the seed and they come in to mess with my garden. Mm-mm. Yeah, I've tried to grow corn. Man, it has never worked because I live out in the country here and my farmer would grow corn to, cattle corn, feed corn. And cross pollination is a terrible thing. And so any of my sweet corn ended up being disgusting. And I tried to like grow a red corn so I could tell a red sweet corn if it got pollinated with the, even though they weren't like right here, they were across the street. Um, it didn't matter. It would open up an ear and half of it would be yellow. Like, damn it. So that's not working for me. The one year that I did have beautiful corn wasn't the year that I grew sweet corn. It was the year that I grew, what is that? It's like, what do they call it? Stained glass corn or Indian corn, or they call it a bunch of different names. But it was the one year that he grew, farmer grew soybeans around me. So I had a chance. And you never know. I didn't know. I didn't know what he was growing. So those ended up being beautiful. I don't know if I think I dried some and made popcorn, but yeah, those are really pretty. Really didn't eat them. I used them to make wreaths and stuff like that year. Yeah, it's so pretty. They call it a whole bunch of other stuff now because I don't think you're allowed to say Indian corn anymore. It's not politically correct. Whatever. But you haven't tried that again. One year, oh, I learned about corn smut, and I learned that raccoons will climb your corn. Jerks. Bandits. Green corn. I don't know about green corn. Oh, oh, no. Yeah, okay, so I wanted to get, like, there's this company called Premier, and they make a movable, like a fence meshy kind. It's for chickens, really, where it's run by solar and a car battery, and you don't have to plug anything in. And I was like, oh, that's what I should do because I can just put it up for the summer and take it down in the fall and store it. And my husband didn't like that idea. He thought it looked terrible. So he's building me a fence made out of cattle panels and wood. It's pretty. I don't know who it's going to keep out. It's not keeping out anybody. It's not finished yet. But it's got big holes in it, like this big. Everybody can get in. Doesn't really stop anybody. I think the idea of it maybe stops the deer from running through. I think it'd make a, if I didn't have a garden in there, it would be a really good place to put your dogs. So they couldn't run away. Although she could probably just dig under it, no biggie. It's very pretty. Yeah, I just should have, he wanted to build a fence. He didn't want it to look like, I don't know, it. Mm-mm-mm. Mothballs. Alright, here's country living. I keep mothballs in an envelope in my mailbox. so the bugs don't make houses in there and scare the mail delivery person. It works. Yeah. I have a couple cattle panels. Then I made like a tunnel. I think I'm gonna grow some different types of small gourds on there. I think that'd be kind of cool. Oh, raccoons are the raccoon police. Sometimes they sound like police sirens. I need a spicy electric fence. I really think that that was just all I needed, but I think he was afraid that my cats would get zapped. I'm like, well, they would probably learn pretty quick, but maybe not. Yeah, mothballs. And I tried putting like I would leave all my um big rubber boots in the garage, and the mice would always just make a house in there anyway, and I hate that. So I just would put a whole bunch of mothballs in my boots. Come to find out, the mice just do not care. It was really for the bugs. I still love to move in. Yeah, the mail lady one time, because I didn't learn right away. I had just put it in an envelope and left it in the mailbox, and she must have pulled it out thinking it was mail to go out. She wrote me a note and she went, I spilled all your mothballs because I thought it was mail to go out. So now I write in big magic marker, black magic marker, mothballs, not mail on the envelope. And it's paper, so that works better than can't do that with plastic. I'm hearing thunder, but I am not hearing the rain yet. Good. How you doing, Steve? I'm glad you're here. Did you call your local church? What's that noise? Did you? Are they helping you with meals? Nails need to be filed. But I got my nail file right here. I don't have the strongest nails, so they get snagged on everything. Terrible. I like to keep them short, so I'm not poking myself in the eyeball with them. I bet. All right, Steve. Hope you feel better. Get some rest. Appreciate you coming out. Ooh, did you guys see the lightning? That was cool. Next. So I tried a new mouse trap. Night, Steve. It's not a trap. Turns out mice hate the radio. So all winter long, I left the radio on in my shed. Because last year, over winter, I had a lot of mouse activity and they just made homes and messed up the place. And I didn't want to deal with that again. I've tried sticky traps, which are gross. The snap traps, which are not always good. Um, so I went on YouTube and watched a bunch of videos on. There's this one man who, I don't know how it started, but that's his whole deal was Mousetrap Monday, and every Monday he would show us a new mousetrap, and they were made out of household things. And it was pretty neat. Sometimes they were really extravagant. They weren't household things, but he eventually landed. What I eventually landed on is like he finally said that I think I've come to the end of my channel, and I can't really. Ooh, now the rain is here. Come to the end of my channel, and I want to just leave you with this: the best mousetrap is not a mousetrap. It is what's been working for me this whole time. And I'm like, you lied to me, Mousetrap Monday guy. And all he did was leave a radio on in his garage. I think he was like working on cars, and over the winter or whatever he would work on cars, and they would of course fill every orifice in a vehicle with mouse shit in mouse houses. And he's like, I can't have that. So he would just leave the radio on. I guess he said he left it on kind of loud, but that's a whole garage. All I have is this tiny little shed, so I didn't have it on that loud. And it worked. It worked so great. I mean, the only time it didn't work is when the power went out. So I had to go back out there and turn the radio back on because it was digital. You know how things are now. Power comes back on. It didn't come on right away. So I had to go out and turn it back on, but it worked great. Peppermint oil. Nice. Good night, Steve. Sweet, sweet dreams. It's the mood lighting and the fact that I have to whisper because everybody should be sleeping. Except my cat, who's probably in the garage hunting for that missing mole. I leave it. I don't know. It doesn't matter what the radio is on, but I usually leave it on like Family Life Radio or Smile FM or something. I want the mice to come to Jesus, get saved. Kidding. I know. So up at my husband's family's cottage, I think they have a stove from the 60s, or no, an oven. No, a refrigerator. One of them. I don't even know the brand. I think I probably have a picture of it, but I cannot remember. But all the racks are aluminum. Okay, and they pull out one side. The whole thing. It's so cool. Of course, it costs like $2 or $3 million to run. But that's your trade off. You can reach everything in that refrigerator. I mean, it's not in perfect condition. It's kind of broken in a couple of places, and they should probably either fix it or make it like an antique display. But it's still in use. It does still work. It's just kind of pricey to keep it running. There's a guy on Facebook. That's his thing is old refrigerators, and he restores them. Not sure where he is. Probably in Ohio or somewhere like that. He could probably fix it up. Yeah, like a Lazy Susan. That's cool. Yeah. Oh, you can buy aftermarket like a Lazy Susan thing for your refrigerator. Mm-hmm. That would be cool. I just got like an LG. Isn't it LG? Yeah, I think so. Super deep, super wide refrigerator, just so I can get as much crap in there as possible. Keep it cold with the freezer on the bottom. I like that. I'm short. It's easier for me to find things. Oop, gonna have another lightning show. Yeah, especially in cars. Too much electronic stuff. Computerized cars. I'm not a fan. But when it comes to the garden, I found that to water with, I'll still need a pump or the well. Even if I use rainwater, I still need a pump. So that's electricity. Most of the fertilizing I do and the spraying I do is still quite small, so I don't need a motorized or electric fogger. Like a lot of people use foggers and stuff like that. When they feed their pumpkin, they they do a foliar feeding. I have not invested in this yet. I'm not. Um, I don't think I need to go that far. don't don't think so. I just need to work on making sure my vine is healthy and I can get a good pollination on the main. That is my goal this year is to protect my pollination on the main. Because this is where I've been failing. You can have my rain, Henry. Seriously, let me just send it over to you. Go. I don't need any more. Yeah, it's been thundering and lightning. Last night we were watching. You were rewatching Stacy too. Um, and she had the TV on, and I thought, and I think a couple of us actually thought that that was lightning because it was like a flashing, and it was doing the same thing in my house, so it made sense. Oh, you must be getting rain. She's like, no, we haven't had rain in forever. That sucks because I get all the rain. Right now, I didn't even get to walk my dog. The road is washed out. In my yard, if I had a boat, we could go somewhere. So Maggie is super bummed because she's like, well, I want to go out. And I'm like, you can go out to a certain point and go potty, but that's it. We're not going, like, we did go for a walk the other day because a lot of it had receded to the banks of the creek and the pond so I could walk. I mean, it was still very squishy. I was still wearing my high rubber boots, and she needed a bath by the time we got back. But at least we could get out there. Today, no, you couldn't see the grass. It was just a pond. Wow. So every once in a while, once a month, I go out and burn a bunch of crap. And I can do that because it's so damn wet. Sorry. Yeah, it's nice to be able to burn stuff and make things go away. That's terrible. Why are we getting so much rain? I mean, I am surrounded by lakes, though. Maybe that helps. It's just naturally moist here. Hmm. Yeah. If you look, I don't know. I mean, every state is it's like its own country. I get it. But I'm looking on Facebook and I watched this one group called Michigan Storm Chasers, something like that, Michigan Storm Chasers. And they ask everybody to check in. And we had like 3 tornadoes last night in different parts of Michigan. People lost their houses, they lost their farm, they lost their barns, their stuff blew away. And a lot of places are flooding so badly. So all those reports were kind of crazy. Place that I used to live, Petoskey, um, they're having some pretty bad flooding, and then Traverse City, they're having some pretty bad flooding. Um, Here we've had a lot of flooding, obviously. We just had the power company come through, and they did a bunch of cutting, around their lines, and of course they left a mess. And wherever they cut was just a river. And I'm like, oh, what you guys do? Yeah, I keep my piles pretty small at this point, but frequent. And it's in such a low area that where I burn stuff is currently underwater. Wish you had my rain. You can have some of it. I think 2 years ago, 2024, yeah, that summer, right after I lost the pollination on the main, and I had like, I don't know, 10 pollinations on secondaries. I was just gonna go with whatever group, right? I'm gonna just do whatever. And I had all these little female baby flowers coming, and you can time it out once they're the size of a grape. You probably have about 10 days or less to plan where you want that vine. To move it very slowly. You have to move it in the hottest part of the day because it's more fragile than celery stalks, which is mostly water, as you know. You have to be careful moving them because you don't want a 500-pound pumpkin growing on top of its own vine or on top of another vine, you know, a place where it work that great. You can move them around gently, gingerly. So you got about 10 days or less. So I get everybody situated, and they all I want to pollinate it myself, so I have to protect the pollination. So I cover the flower and tie it up with a zip tie. And I go out in the morning and take that all off, and I pollinate her with some male flowers that I've collected. And then I have to close her back up and protect her from pollination with any other Atlantic giant that I have. And I had another one growing, and it was a different color, and I didn't want them to mix. So the bees will do what bees do. So I wanted to prevent that. And then right after that, I had like 5 pumpkins going. And then we had this 5 inches or almost 6 inches, 5 and 3/4 inches of rain that came down in like 2 hours. I mean, I thought my whole garden was going to get washed away. It was nuts. I had puddles in the garden, and it's on a hill. And all the pumpkins and all the vines were like not ready for all that damn rain. I mean, it was a big, luscious plant, and it was a lot of baby pumpkins, but a couple of them just burst. And that's what happens. Damn water ruins things. Not enough water ruins things. But we have just had a lot of water. I'm surprised the one, so if you watch any of my old videos, the one called Heaven, in 2024, I mean, you can see her as a baby. I thought the vines being all cracked and everything that she wasn't going to grow. But she ended up growing up to 638 pounds. I can't remember. Yeah, still a good sized pumpkin, but I stressed out that all those, because once the vine cracks, it lets in disease or bugs, and bugs bring disease. So the chances that my plant was going to go down were increased after all that disastrous rain. And so many of my giant pumpkin friends um, were their whole pumpkin would crack open and it was done. You were done. If you only had one pumpkin growing on your plant and it was like 1,000 pounds already, you were just waiting for it to grow another 1,000 pounds maybe. And all that rain came and it cracked, it's disqualified. All it's good for is maybe it'll rot even before Halloween. And if it didn't, if it healed up, it would be maybe a jack o' lantern. If it healed up and didn't have a hole into its interior, could possibly take that two away off anyway. But a lot of them, it would go right into the interior and it would just rot. And so they were done growing. Easy. I would cry. I know, and they do. That's a lot of effort and time and energy and products, money, um, and these are some of the nicest, funniest, dedicated people. And for something like that to happen, you have no control over it. It's sad. Sad. There's this one gentleman who's like 80 years old. He had like 4 or 5 pumpkins growing, and that year when it did that rain, he lost like every single pumpkin split on him from that rain. That is terrible. I don't think he's had another pumpkin since. Well, had like a smaller one the next year, but barely. Oh my god, hunting. I'm just reading the comment about Easter. No, that's terrible. Terrible. Rice growing or cranberries. I know, right? Oh my gosh, can you hear that? It's pouring again. Yeah, I joke about that. The rice paddies of my town. Mm, it's a lot. I don't know how many inches we're gonna get this time. Normally about this time, I would be out there pruning my rose bushes or cleaning out the beds. It's just been too wet. It's where I find my toads, where they've been hiding all winter. I have a front porch toad, back porch toad, my toad friends. One that likes to hide in the garage. Oh, I hope Hazel doesn't mess with my toads. That is a lot of rain. Oh, I should probably sign off, eat some more snacks, and go to bed. Hope you've enjoyed your pumpkin channel, learned something, or not. That's cool. I think when my husband first moved down to this property with his first wife, he had put in a water line all the way to the back of the property. And I think it's cut off now, but there's still spigots out there. And he planted a bunch of baby trees. So we still call them the baby trees, but they're 40 feet tall and they're huge. Yeah, water spigots. Do it. It's really not that expensive. It's a lot of work, though. Good night, everybody. Yeah, I should really get going. Get to bed, get some sleep, and then take the boat out in the morning to plant my rice. Just kidding. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Have a good night. We'll see you again. Oh, nice. Nice. Oh, it helps if you have some good equipment. I think he did it all by hand when he was young, full of it. All right. Night, y'all. Bye.